Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Stephen Schnee to the program. Tonight we are looking at those CDs, those records, those albums from Donnie Iris and the Cruisers. Particularly, we're looking at those MCA years. So without any further ado, let's get this started.
He's a man that resembles a god. Unfortunately for him, that god is Buddha. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Steve Schnee to the show. Tonight we are going to talk about Donnie Iris. Donnie Iris and the Cruisers. That's right. We don't want to exclude anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Donnie Iris, big musician in my area of the country, from Pennsylvania, plays here a lot, plays Pennsylvania quite a bit, but he's been... Well, he first started his career in the band Jaggers. There are 3 albums, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording that I didn't realize that there are 3 Jaggers albums. I'm just familiar with the rapper, the one single that was a success.
From 1970.
Yep, got up to number 2. But he was in that band. He was also on the 4th.
Wild Cherry.
I was going to say Hot Chocolate.
Everyone's a winner, baby.
That's kind of funny. I'll probably leave that in. Anyway, yeah, he was on the 4th Wild Cherry album. So he wasn't on Play That Funky Music, but a band member that he collaborates with and is still in the band today.
No, still in Donnie Iris and the Cruisers is Mark Abzak. He was actually in Wild Cherry. He played on that song, then became a full-time band member after, with that album. So he plays on that single, and he became full-time Wild Cherry member. And then by the 4th album, Donnie Iris came in, and then they started a songwriting partnership that and performing partnership that continues to this very day. And that's over 40 years. It's probably 45 years now that they've been playing together.
And they're still out there. But anyway, Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, that was formed in like roughly probably 1980 or so, maybe
before
prior
that. You know why? Because they had a song or a single. In fact, I'm going to mention it right now because I have it on CD.
Oh my!
I am a CD junkie. There's a CD I have called Donnie 25 Years, which was only available through their website, I believe.
Oh, I've never seen that. No wonder.
It has a song called Bring On the 80s. And it was a pre-album single. So there's that.
So was that from the same sessions as Back on the Streets?
No, it was before then.
It was before that.
Yeah.
And you would have thought, well, let me mention this. We're kind of all worked up about Donnie Iris because in 2021, Rock Candy, the label in the UK, reissued the 4 MCA records. So from 1980, Back on the Streets, 1981's King Cool, 1982's The High and Mighty, which I must say is the first time it's ever been on CD. You would have thought that would have come out, but no, we have to wait until 2021. Fortune 410 from 1983. All those MCA records. After that, everything was independently released. So
there was one album on Sony.
And one album on Sony. When was that?
I think it was 85, No Muss, No Fuss.
Oh, No Muss, No Fuss. Okay, yeah, you're right. But it's just funny because if you look at his career, the albums kept selling less and less and less.
Each of them are different from each other. Back in the Streets is completely different than King Cool. It's very obviously the same band. But they're not just doing the same thing over and over again. They're doing different things with each album. And sometimes it's hard for the general public, the commercial public, to follow a band if you put out Alea on one album and the next album you've got My Girl, which is completely different song, or The Promise, or something like that, and then and then Tough World, which is different, and then which is off the 3rd album. Then on the 4th album you got Do You Compute? All great singles, but very different from each other. And sometimes the audiences just want the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, I can speak for that King Cool album is that here in Central Ohio, Alea was big.
Yeah.
But Love Is Like a Rock, just as big here in this area in the Midwest. I don't know how it fared out there in the West Coast, but here it was big. It was big. Okay. But that I will say the Love is Like a Rock could have fit on the first record. I'm just wondering, you think that maybe people were just used to that first record and the way it sounded and they expected more of that? I mean,
well, see, that's why I'm saying that they're different.
Right.
It's because people just want to hear, any group that comes out. People want to hear the same thing. The only band that got away with being different with every album was the Beatles.
Well, they are on a different level. So
yeah, I know. But when you listen to anybody out there, I'm not going to knock. The first 3 Stranglers albums, they all sounded exactly alike, which is great, right? But they changed after that. The first 3 Buzzcocks albums sounded pretty much all from the same sessions. They were great, but you can tell with each album it was the same band. REO Speedwagon during their hit making period sounded pretty much like the same band with every album. Yeah. Not knocking that at all, because I like all this music. But Donnie Iris was different. The albums sounded different within themselves. Agnes was another popular song off of the first album. It sounds a lot different than Alea. Not even the same formula, and it's pretty incredible. Just the work that they did, and the important thing about them is not only did Donnie have these great or this great voice, that he could go into like a falsetto scream that was powerful. It was emotional. It rose to a level. It wasn't a Rob Halford scream. It wasn't a Frankie Valli falsetto. It was something entirely different. But every song, he only used it when it was needed, when it was necessary. He didn't use it in every song and every moment. So that's what made it really powerful. And that was kind of like his calling card. But another thing was that Mark Abzak was so great at arranging vocals, the layers and layers of vocals, not anywhere similar to the Beach Boys in sound, but similar to the many different levels that they would use to achieve, some kind of emotional feel, and and his keyboard work was, they were doing their own thing, and to this day, they're one of the few bands out there that 43 years after I first heard them with Back on the Streets, they are one of the bands that I think I love today more than I ever have. There's them. There's Jules and the Polar Bears, another band I love more to this day. The group Interview, the Clash album London Calling. These are things that blew me away when I first heard them, and I love them more today than I ever have. And that's the Donnie Iris records too.
Well, you were mentioning the vocals on this record. It kind of reminds me of, they always talk about Robin Sander being the man of 1,000 voices. Yeah. Donnie Iris is very similar depending on the song. He can morph and change to fit the song. I think Donnie could probably sing anything.
Yeah.
And like you said, the high falsetto, he doesn't always use it.
Yeah.
He can do like a 50s crooning type of voice.
Yep.
But the beauty of these records is that there are different styles. Like we were mentioning, power pop, AOR. AOR. I mean, it's hard rock. It varies depending on the track. I'd say maybe, High and Mighty, I'd say it's more of a new wave feel, but each album has an individual sonic stamp they're all different.
Yes, very much.
They're all different. Yeah. But I mean, they all sound great. Okay. But stylistically, they change and they evolve. They're, it's awesome. It's like a listening experience. And like I said, those Rock Candy CDs are out there. I don't know if you can stream any of Donnie's stuff. You might be able to get it on YouTube or something. I don't know. But if you like physical media, okay, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, this is a best of the MCA years, and this has their singles and their hits, their most well-known songs. It's a nice little compilation, a nice taster, but I think the albums are pretty indispensable.
Yeah,
and amongst the albums, just like I said, Alea is completely different than Shock Treatment. It's completely different than Agnes. It's completely different than Joking, and that's all on the first album. And now the Rock Candy ones, there was an EP that came out about the time of King Cool, and it was a live EP, and it was promo only, and they took tracks from that promo only EP and they added them as bonus tracks. So on the Rock Candy remaster, you get Alea and I Can't Hear You Live, because they're both on this album. But just a unique, just a great rock and roll band. I mean, you can't call them pop or new wave or anything like that. Rock and roll. Market, I think, when it first came out, because I was already, I was a fan with the first album. And then King Cool, I remember listening to it. Well, this is the first album. This is Alea was a hit.
Oh yeah, 27 on the chart. Yeah.
Yeah. And Agnes got played on FM radio, and there's other couple songs that got played on FM radio. I was more attracted, like I said, I thought Joking is just a great, fun rock and roll track with great vocals, and She's So Wild, and so just when I look at the song titles, they start going to my head, and I just go, oh, I got to listen to this album. Because I listen to these albums a lot more than I listen to some new stuff. It's just they're timeless. They are. But when King Cool came out, that's when that EP came out. So it was like, I think the cover was like a black and white live picture, and so I believe it had tracks from, it covered these two, but they did just spread the bonus tracks out onto these. So
I remember back in the day, though, that you would see a lot of these. Well, I don't know where it is now. I'm sure these records, they brought out the CDs, so maybe that changed the market. I don't know, but you used to be able to get these in the dollar bins all the time back in the 90s, but I haven't seen anything really so much anymore, Maybe
hopefully people are respecting, some of these great bands. I can only hope that people for years are gonna, if they haven't discovered Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, I'm only hoping that they are going to rediscover them. This is a band that really needs, there are channels out there, like, let's say, Sea of Tranquility, the Contrarians, these kind of channels that, appeal to the more rock oriented fan,
right?
Like the harder rock. And that particular audience would love Donnie Iris just as much as the people who tune into my channel, CD Junkie, which is more pop or unknown. In fact, I have a show called Beach Blanket Fort Bingo. And when these came out, me and Ronnie Barnett interviewed Ronnie Barnett interviewed Mark Abzak about this. And we talked. Yeah. We weren't able to get Donnie, but we got Mark, and it was an amazing interview. Amazing.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah. He was so giving of his time. And I edited out a lot, but yeah, absolutely fantastic.
So let's just throw this out here. If someone's wanting to get into Donnie Iris and check out his stuff, what would you recommend? Because I kind of back in the day, Steve, I didn't really pay much attention to this because we kind of talked about it. You got me all worked up, and then I got the CDs, and then I realized the brilliance that's here. And basically all we want to do is spread the word.
Yeah.
If someone's looking to get into Donnie Iris, what would you recommend? Would you do a best of? Would you just say you might as well just get those Rock Candy CDs? What's your thoughts? I'm
always a guy that says go for the albums, but I also realize financial. Now, if you're going out there and you're buying vinyl and you're buying because none of these are in print, it's all going to be in the used bin,
right?
So if you're going out and if you're buying stuff, then you're going to be able to pick those albums up for a reasonable price. At least I would assume so. If you're going to invest in CDs, and I know that $15-20 a disc is going to be difficult, if you want to know what where the heck to start, I would say this would be a great place to start, because this has of course Alea, I Can't Hear You, Agnes, we've talked about those. Sweet Mary Lee, which is off of the second album. Love Is Like a Rock, we talked about that. That's The Way Love Ought to Be. My Girl, Tough World. I mean, it's flawless. It's a flawless compilation. And it's a perfect introduction. But you're probably going to want to start, I won't tell you my favorite of these until afterwards, but of course, Alea.
I was going to get there, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Alea, that's on Back in the Street. So that might be a good place to start. But like I said, on vinyl, if you can find them all for cheap, get them, because the albums themselves are different from each other, but songs are different from each other. They don't have this formula apart from you're going to get great melodies, great vocals, great layered harmonies, great production, and they're going to be inventive. Mark Abzak, a very, very inventive keyboardist, arranger, and producer, and you're going to hear that just on the debut album. It's just, he was in Wild Cherry, and I believe there was another hard rocker AR band that he was in before this, like right after Wild Cherry.
Oh, I've got that. Oh my God, it's slipping my mind. I found that record like in the Cheapy Bin one. It's slipping my mind. Yes, there is something. Yeah. Oh God. Well, maybe I can, when we post this, maybe I can find it and I can insert it in. So, but yes.
Yeah. So by this time, they're already veterans of the music scene by about 4 or 5 years. And so Mark knew what he was doing. So they came out swinging on this album. Just totally 100%. And then by the time of King Cool, they'd refined the sound, and by refining it, they also expanded it. So you're going to get more ballads on this album, like The Last to Know is just this beautiful thing where just Donnie's wailing at the end. And My Girl, if you listen to My Girl, it's Beatle type harmonies in like a jazz arrangement.
Right.
And it's unique. It's unlike anything else you're going to hear out there, then or now. And by the way, Donnie Iris and the Cruisers have nothing to do with Eddie and the Cruisers. So
just to go on record, in case someone's getting confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, this album has The Promise, Pretender, Love Is Like a Rock, That's the Way Love Ought to Be, My Girl, like just mentioned, Broken Promises, King Cool, Color. In fact, this album, in my opinion, as much as I love the first album, I might love this album more than the first album. It's so solid. Now, but there's no Alea, and there's no Alea Part 2 on this album either. Everything they did was unique. They used the same types of layered harmonies or whatever, but they never tried to rewrite Alea.
Yeah, these albums, it's funny you should mention that, because it's not really like this is like an album, so to speak. It's more like a collection of songs. Like some records you listen to and everything just blends together. This is like all these records, you could interchange them some degree and they would work. And that's not taking anything away from it, but all these songs are so strong, and Donnie can do so many different styles that it's just, I don't know. It's a listening pleasure, to go through all these records.
Yeah, but this is yet another fine album. And then he went on to The High and the Mighty, which I don't think it's as strong as the first two. The title track, I'm not a big fan of, but then everything, but then you only get like 8 songs on the album or something. But Tough World is incredible. The end of that song, when he goes into the like I said, he uses the falsetto in a way that is powerful and emotional. And even if it's just 2 words, so tough, whatever, and just incredible. Then of course I want to tell her's great. They do a kind of a rockin' version of Glad All Over, the David Clark 5 song. Parallel Time is incredible. It's like this AOR meets 50s doo-wop. And This Time It Must Be Love. Love is Magic. You're Gonna Miss Me. It's just so hard to understand why certain bands made it and this didn't. I mean, why did The Fanatic by Felony, why did that just become this huge hit? And Do You Compute off of this album didn't. Well, they're nothing alike, but Do You Compute's a better song than The Fanatic by Felony. Or a Junk Food Junkie by Larry Gross. God bless him. Glad he had a great hit.
Disco Duck, for God's sakes.
Yeah, yeah. R.I.P. Rick Dees. But why does that stuff become a hit? And
I don't know.
So many tracks. Somebody should have been a huge hit. Do You Compute should have been a huge hit. Human Evolution is a great song. There's a song on here called let me see here. I'm a User, very Beatlesque. It's hard to talk about this stuff, and then I get frustrated that everybody who's listening to this conversation should know this stuff. I know that I talk about a lot of it,
and I didn't.
Yeah.
But see, when you recommend something, I listen. So I just hope we could reach other people.
Yeah.
But I was always fast. I had Back on the Streets. I knew that one. But I was always under the impression that the rest of the catalog, that those other records just weren't worthy. They're just, ugh. But no, that is not the case at all. I love all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting reintroduced to it. I would love to get the rest of the catalog, what I can get. But a lot of those CDs are kind of expensive, Yeah.
I don't want to encourage you to spend your money, but they're so worth it. I mean, anyone out there who's watching this, we haven't been going too in depth on these things, but it's just a matter of, if you love adventurous music, that's the thing about Donnie Iris and the Cruisers. On the surface, people just thought, hey, this is a rock and roll band up here doing this, doing that, whatever. But the music itself is so adventurous and so exciting to listen to that, I'm trying to pull my screen down here because I need some release dates, but it's so adventurous that something like Fortune 410 was actually them sort of dipping a little bit into like synth pop in a way.
I like it.
It wasn't at the same time. Oh yeah. I mean, they were I don't know. They were a few years ahead of their time.
I agree. Hey, you know what?
Behind the time.
Oh, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it. They really didn't know what band out of time. And plus, I don't know how MCA pushed them. I don't remember anything back in the day where they were really pushing this band. Maybe they didn't know what to do with them either.
Well, you have to remember that Donnie, the guy with curly hair and glasses.
Well, he looks kind of nerdy. He looked like a nerd.
You see, and the problem with that, it's the same thing with Mike Score from Flock of Seagulls and that hairstyle it's a novelty. It's that rock band with Buddy Holly singing. The guy that looks like Buddy Holly.
But he looks so new wave, though. Maybe the music didn't reflect it enough. You look at Back on the Streets or King. That's a new wave. That's a new wave artist, as far as I'm concerned.
See, I don't think so.
You do. I know, but he looks like it.
It looks like a new wave artist, but Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, a great rock and roll band, bar none. They have new wave influence. They have synth pop influence. They have AOR influence. It's just a great rock and roll band, and they're drawing on so many influences, reaching back to the '60s. Because both these guys are, that's where they were cutting their teeth. That's where they were learning their instruments and learning how to sing was in the '60s. So they're going to take all these influences, and it sounds nothing like a '60s record, or their albums were very modern for their time. They didn't sound like a retro band, but they were using elements from jazz records, made their way in there, into some of the arrangements, into some of the vocals, incredible work. Yeah.
But, you were going to say, you alluded before, what is your favorite record out of this MCA era?
It goes, as much as I love them all. And when I'm saying, because let's say, for example, High and the Mighty is not my favorite, but Tough World is one of my favorites Donnie Iris songs ever. I can play that ad nauseum. And just when Donnie's, has that wailing falsetto at the end or whatever, it's just truly incredible. But my favorite is a toss-up between King Cool and Fortune 410. I think both are solid. King Cool might inch it out because I'm not a big fan of Stage Door Johnny off of Fortune 410. Everything else I love on that. Stage Door Johnny I like. Whereas I love everything off of King Cool. So that does get the edge. But it's
well, this is what's going to be quite different from you, because I like Back on the Streets and I like the High and Mighty. Those are my two picks.
Yeah.
We all hear things differently, kids.
Absolutely.
But I love the I don't know, High and the Mighty. There's just something about it. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the song, but Tough World and the Glad All Over I think is okay, but everything else on that is wonderful.
So either way, we recommend you check these out. Before we do wrap it up, we don't want to go real long, but Steve, can you talk a little bit about the later catalog?
Okay, 1985. Oh, okay. Here's a couple things that I want to throw at you. Before is they left MCA and they signed with, I think, CBS Associated, and this is like a slightly altered, different cover, but the band did release their remastered version of No Muss No Fuss, which is an album from '85, and Injured in the Game of Love was a radio song, and it got some decent airplay, got video on MTV and some of the other video channels and stuff. But it's got a lot of great songs, like LOVE is great, and it's a great record, and it's all the same guys playing on it. With that deal, this was the last Donnie Iris and the Cruisers album at that time. With that deal, Mark Abzak also put out an album under the name Cellar Full of Noise. And the first album was called Cellar Full of Noise, and it's pretty much all Mark Abzak, keyboards, vocals, and it's fantastic. The only thing it's missing is Donnie Iris's voice. But since it's a Mark Abzak record and it's under the name Cellar Full of Noise, now they're not on CD, which is sad. But that first album is absolutely wonderful. There's a second album. Do you have it up on the screen there?
Yeah, Cellar Full of Noise and Magnificent Obsession in 1988. Okay.
Magnificent Obsession was the second album. That album actually featured Donnie.
I've got that one. That's the one I've got.
Features Donnie singing on 3 songs. Donnie does not sing on the self-titled album, but Donnie does sing on Magnificent Obsession. He sings a great song called First Love. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. He also sings a song called Samantha, which is a song about a girl deciding whether she's going to get an abortion or not. And it's powerful and it's fantastic. But Mark sings most of that, and he's got a great voice too. And there's those layered vocals again. So that was it. And then it wasn't until, let me see what year this is, Out of the Blue, 1992. And this contains like some hits. Like they licensed Alea, That's the Way Love Ought to Be, Injured in the Game of Love. Let me see. And a couple other songs, like Love Is Like a Rock. And then they threw in some new songs as well. So there's that. It's not a greatest hits, but it does have, they're the original versions of some of the hits and then some new songs.
So let me back up real quick. When the Cellar Full of Noise project came around, did Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, did they break up? Did they break up after that?
I think they were just on hold. I think we see Kevin Valentine, the drummer, played on the first Cellar Full of Noise album. Donnie sang on, and I'm sure Marty was on them both. So I think that just Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, they were probably still playing live or something. I don't think they ever broke up, but maybe there were some legal issues and they couldn't put anything out. But Cellar Full of Noise, if you see those on vinyl, pick them up. If you
see, that seems like something you should go, since they already put out the Donnie Iris, the first 4.
Don't worry,
I did it right.
I've already gone to the label.
You've already went to Rock Candy and said, yeah, you should put these out.
And they said that they've been looking into it. So,
but it would make sense.
Yeah.
Because there is those Donnie Iris fans, there's a market for it. And the fact that it's never been out.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by it. I'm just blown away. But there's a lot of things that never come out. So
yeah. So
anyway, go ahead.
1993, they put out Foot Soldiers in the Moonlight, and that's all new. They actually they re-recorded The First Love, which was off of the Magnificent Obsession album by Cellar Full of Noise. It's a re-recording, and they sort of change it. Like First Love, I don't remember one of them. They change it to First Love as in a romantic thing. The other version is Music is their first love, but I don't remember if this is which one, slightly changed the lyrics and stuff. But it's another great collection of songs there. Donnie Iris, Foot Soldiers in the Moonlight, Pole Town, another fantastic. In fact, one of my favorite ever Donnie Iris and the Cruiser song is How Are You Gonna Mend It? And by this time he wasn't using his falsetto as much because sometimes you didn't need it. He only uses it when he needs to. And some of the stuff he didn't need to, but still great layered vocals. Now, by this time, essentially it's Donnie, Mark, and Marty Lee on guitar. Marty Lee has always been there the whole time. Kevin and Al Britton had left. Kevin came back later. A gentleman by the name of Paul came in and played bass. I forget his last name. It's probably not going to be listed there, so I can read it. But it's still, those 3 main guys. There's another album called Together Alone. This came out in 1999. Pole Town, by the way, was 97.
Okay.
This came out in 1999, and they re-record some songs, and they have other artists with them, like they do The Promise, which is off of King Cool, but Michael Stanley sings it. And they do, we all know the song Alea, of course. And the thing that carries that is, his falsetto vocals and those layered vocals. Well, there's an acoustic version of it on this that they rearrange it. They almost make it a ballad, and they don't have the layered vocals. He doesn't go into falsetto, and it's still a great song. It's a great version of just a great song. That's called Together Alone, and that came out in 1999. Then you have Donnie 25, which is through their website, long out of print, but this has Bring on the 80s, which is their pre-debut album single. And then they have songs that were going to be on this album coming up. And then they have the song Samantha, which is the Cellar Full of Noise song about the girl and abortion and stuff. Everything else is live, from the classic period. Then Elwood City, wonderful album, fantastic album. And then there was an EP called You Can't Really Miss Me If I Never Go Away.
Never seen that. Never seen that one.
That came out in 2008. EP. And then finally, Alleluia.
And that is Christmas album. Yeah.
And what they did with this is it's almost all classic Christmas songs, but they put it together in a way to resemble the Sgt. Pepper. It doesn't sound like Sgt. Pepper. It sounds like Donnie Iris and the Cruisers and Christmas, but they sort of, with all the different varied styles going through, and they sort of almost mimic Sgt. Pepper, Lonely Hearts Club Band album. So it doesn't sound like the Beatles. Doesn't sound like that. So but it in their own clever way, it sort of follows that kind of formula, and it's a really nice Christmas album. And that's it.
Wow. Quite a catalog, There's so much there to out of those later albums, is there like a certain era from those MCA records that would be similar, or did Donnie keep progressing and reinventing himself and follow different musical trends? You know what I mean?
Yeah. With the MCA albums, there's a lot more of the layered vocals, because they obviously had the production budget.
Right.
And then they were able to, they have a unique sound apart from that production, and they do carry that with every album. So it's very identifiable. Donnie has a very identifiable voice. He doesn't always go into falsetto, but so yes, they continued it, but just with more modern production. Mm-hmm. So the modern production of 1999 was, more down to earth, more, less glossy and polished.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, any of this era, I think, Together Alone is more of a mellow album. Everything else is just a mix of good rock, ballads, and just great Donnie Iris and Mark Abzek originals.
I'm just going to keep my eye out. Maybe I'll see him in my travels, but I'm not holding my breath. Some of those records I'd seen before.
Yeah.
I remember, Out of the Blue and Foot Soldier. I remember seeing those, but Steve, it's been years since I've ever seen any out in the wild.
Yeah, it's really hard to find them in the wild. Really hard to find them for a reasonable price. If you stumble across the first 4 or 5 albums, that No Muss No Fuss, great album. In fact, No Muss No Fuss stripped away a lot of that gloss and was just a great rock record like the first album.
I'd at least like to try to find that.
Yeah.
But whatever, I'll keep my eye open.
Yeah, I said, I love this band today more than I ever have.
There you go. I think that pretty much sums it up. But the thing is, they do have the rock. I have nothing to do with Rock Candy. I love what they do. But if anybody knows anything about these reissues, I'd get them while they're in print, because once they're out of print, it's hit and miss.
Prices go way up.
Prices could go way up. And a lot of this Rock Candy stuff, when they go out of print, they skyrocket up. So we're just saying, get it while you can. I have nothing to do with Rock Candy. We're just here promoting music.
Same here. If I see something's coming out of Rock Candy, I'll buy like the Rick Springfield Rock Candy reissues before I buy, like the RCA ones. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's another artist. If you think about it, think about how many records Rick sold. You used to see, I know we're on a tangent, but we got a couple minutes. Remember back in the day, you would see Rick Springfield in the wild used. Just saying. Yeah. I never see anything anymore. Yeah. I see more of his later stuff in the bins, but like Living in Oz or
Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet.
You never see him anymore. I guess that's probably good that people are hanging on to him, because those are great records. And I don't, some people might go, Rick Springfield. Oh, what? Great. New album's great. Great stuff. Oh,
yeah.
The Red Locust record.
Oh, yeah.
No one knows about. Great record. Oh, my God. But that's a whole other show. And we're not going to talk Rick Springfield tonight. We're just talking. But go out, find some Donnie Iris, give it a listen. Down in the links, let us know what you like. And if you've gone out and you took a chance, let us know what you think. Or pick up that. I'm pretty sure that's probably still in print.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's probably still reasonably priced. If you just want to dip your toes in right now, this is probably going to be pretty much going to be something that's going to make you go, okay, I got to buy the whole catalog.
So check it out. Like I said, I don't stream, but I do a lot of YouTube, obviously. Oh, and Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Who knew
Glenn Campbell?
Who knew that Glenn Campbell would pop up today?
Glenn Campbell, my first concert, 1970.
My first concert was Foreigner Double Vision with Ambrosia opening up 1978.
Wow, not bad.
Did I ever tell you that story about that show?
No.
Of course, you got Foreigner, original lineup.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Great. Ambrosia comes on. Now, by that time, they were 78. They weren't doing the prog so much. Okay, because when originally they were a prog band, hardcore. I will go on record to say that those first two Ambrosia albums are some of the best prog albums ever made. Mm-hmm. If you're into prog, great stuff. But they branched out. They probably needed to hit. Record company probably says, you know what, gentlemen, could you maybe give us a hit? Yeah. We need a single. So they become more of a yacht rock thing. But yacht rock didn't exist then. Okay. But it was right at that time. So 78 would have been that LA album, whatever. There's a hit on there.
Isn't it like Biggest Part of Me or something?
Yeah, okay. That's probably it. So they were playing that stuff, and the audience just booed and said, "You suck. Get off the stage," blah, blah, yelling. David Pack got pissed off, and he went, "You," to everybody, and just give them the middle finger to the whole, and just said, "Screw you," and they just played. He was pissed. Wow. But they were so rude. But Ambrosia was so great. They were great, but man, he was angry.
My brother was at the Stones show where Prince got booed off the stage. I think. Oh gosh, what was the album?
Wasn't that an 82 tour? Was that the 82 tour? 81, 82. Yeah. I saw him in 82, but Prince wasn't opening up. It was some female artist that I have no idea who it was. If it would have been Prince, I would have noticed.
Yeah,
but he wasn't on that leg. He didn't play up in Cleveland or Richfield. Okay. So I would have been great though, wouldn't it? Not to see Prince get booed, but Prince was so great to see Prince in that era.
Yeah.
On fire. Well, anyway, we went on a tangent. Did you want to mention something about Glenn Campbell?
No,
we can.
I put on my Glenn Campbell shirt and I realized, oh my gosh,
I've got my Glenn Campbell shirt on.
Yeah, I chose this over my Santa Claus Land shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a Glenn Campbell shirt, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Gotta go. And I love it because it's so cheesy, because it looks like one of those 70s iron-on shirts.
It does.
Yeah. So I had to
Gentle on My Mind album cover, correct?
Yeah.
Wow, I like it.
At your door. Oh, sorry.
That's a whole other thing.
Right, you told me not to sing.
No, I didn't. You can sing if you feel like it. All right. Well, we won't keep everybody else watching us go on and on about music. We could do this for hours. Yeah. But anyway, Donnie Iris, check it out. Check out Steve's channel. It's down there in the links. Please subscribe. CD Junkie, check it out. A lot of great content. And plus, he does the Ski Lodge, for God's sakes, Tuesday evening. Mm-hmm. Go there and hang out. Live. He does his live thing. I do my live thing.
Yeah.
He's the original though. I just copied everything that he already did.
Everything.
He
learned to sneeze the way that I sneeze.
That's true. That's true. It's incredible. Yeah. So anyway, Stephen Schnee, I want to thank you for coming on. It was a fun discussion. It's fun to talk. Well, it's all about talking music. Hopefully we can turn some people on to Donnie Iris. That's all I want to do. So is there anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? Is there anything coming up you want to promote? I mean, I'm going to try to get this up pretty fast, but I mean, is there anything down the road or anything?
Well, you getting something up fast means 5 weeks.
No.
So by that time I'll be 60 years old.
Oh God.
Give
me, I don't know. Give me a week.
No, I'm perfectly fine.
All right, cool.
No, I just want people to just open up your mind to whatever.
Right.
And always just keep listening to music. And the minute you tell yourself you've heard enough, then you're closing off your mind and you're going to miss some wonderful, wonderful things, new and old. So just open your mind and give music a chance, and that's all we need.
On that note, we will end it. All right, Steve, thanks for coming on. Please like, subscribe. Like I said, check out his channel. And please like, subscribe to my channel. There's more great things coming up. Check out everything on the Contrarians, the live chat on the Contrarians every Wednesday. So a lot of fun. Martin Popoff's there. We will be back on Wednesday for a live chat. So we will see you in the ski lodge next time.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. Take care.